You wouldn't believe how often people get it wrong when they assume how internet advertising works. I saw an Instagram post where this guy was hammering home how much he hates Liquid Death, and the top comment was something like, "I wouldn't be surprised if this was an ad." The original poster rightfully responded, "If I do a paid post, I'm legally required to disclose that." And then the original commenter said, "Yeah, but you could just lie." This is true. If it were up to internet content creators, there would be nothing in the way of lying on cam. But remember that the people buying the ads are usually legitimate companies with a lot to lose. So they want to be sticklers for following the rules. Here is my one weird trick that should reasonably work to tell. If the person talking about a product mentions any of the negative aspects of the product, it's probably not a paid ad. For example, the thing about Metamucil is that you can just buy the generic version for less money. Keep in mind that every ad has to be approved by the brand before it goes live. So if it talked about any of the negatives, if I talked about any of the alternatives, those things would probably get cut out of the final deliverable. So many of these products, the overpriced deodorant and millennial branded lawn fertilizer, only work when you don't mention the fact that alternatives exist, that there may be some downsides. Sometimes the advertisers don't even have that many positive aspects to flaunt. I remember a Manscaped campaign where they were like, "It even has a 4000K light on it." That K stands for Kelvin. All it refers to is the color temperature of the little LED. So people were earning money going online being like, "Guys, this thing has a 4000K light." We just get paid to talk about the good parts. Yes, Audible lets you listen to the world's best audiobooks. Yes, you can get your mail picked up from your house if you ship with stamps.com. That's all true. The part that separates a paid ad from an honest conversation is the post office will come pick up your mail too, for free. And if you have a library card, you can listen to audiobooks through Libby for free. Of course, I'll still do a paid ad read for your brand of cookware, bakeware, glassware, knives, kitchen tools, whatever, and 500,000 people will see that. But if one person in Discord earnestly asks me where to buy that sort of stuff, I'd still probably tell them that their local restaurant supply can't be beaten in terms of value and durability. To me, that is the difference between a paid ad read and an honest personal endorsement. If the person you're getting your information from is allowed to mention the downsides and the alternatives, the chances are it's probably more of an endorsement than a paid ad. The fault in this heuristic is that not all sponsorships are cut and dry ad reads. For example, all of my Twitch streams are sponsored by Voodoo Ranger. They pay a monthly fee to have their logo on my page. They also provide me with a bottomless fridge full of Voodoo Ranger IPA. So if you see a clip of me drinking beer, it's probably going to be something from my beer fridge. So it's probably going to be something under the New Belgium brand umbrella. That's not a paid ad read, but it's undeniably a byproduct of receiving an unlimited amount of free beer. And now that I'm a certified influencer, so much of my stuff has been provided for free. Sometimes with no expectation of a call out even. So if I do mention that I like them, is that a paid ad? That's a rhetorical question. Don't argue about it in the comments. Nobody's going to definitively figure it out. Also, there's the concept of affiliate marketing. I could start a tech review website or YouTube channel where I talk about the best high-end electronics and then provide Amazon affiliate links in the description and then earn a small percent off of every sale of a high-ticket item. So sometimes there's a lot of money to be made just in the perpetuation of getting viewers to buy anything. I got a couple $100 when a bunch of people bought fire extinguishers from my Amazon affiliate link, even though in that video I did reinforce that buying one from a hardware store would be more advantageous than buying one online. If I made a video tomorrow about my top 10 must-have kitchen tools, I could reasonably expect to make an extra $1,000 this month. I would be giving honest personal endorsements, but I would also be paid for encouraging consumption of more products. Once you get outside the bounds of this brand has paid to be mentioned in my video, things start to get impossibly hairy. To make matters worse, I can accidentally convince hundreds of people to buy something that I deliberately call out as not worth buying, just by mentioning it. In this way, the everything is an ad types of people are the most annoying kind of right. Technically right. If I can make an impassioned plea to my viewers not to buy something, and then they still do, what's the point of overthinking any of this stuff? Maybe the food influencers should know better than to advertise $50 olive oil. Maybe the finance influencers should know better than to advertise the day trading app. You should be able to present all options and let the customer decide, but that could be said about selling cigarettes. This is a water bottle from a brand that asked to buy an ad, and it might be the most bizarre value proposition I've ever seen. The bottle holds a scented ring. This one smells like cucumber, and the neck is angled in a way that feeds the scent into your nose as you drink water, and astoundingly, makes the plain water taste kind of like it has cucumber in it. But you have to buy this water bottle and these scent pucks, and at that point, aren't you just better off putting a slice of cucumber in any old water bottle? Well, this doesn't mold or dissolve in your water, so maybe it is a good idea for a hyper-specific kind of person who's health neurotic enough to want to avoid artificial flavors, but health deficient enough to struggle with drinking plain water every day. It's a weird one. I would probably say yes to the ad deal and then just expect a bunch of commenters to be like, what a goofy ass guy advertising this wacky ass product. I bring this to your attention now because, unfortunately, I think the only good way to decide on which ads to take is to look at every opportunity on a case-by-case basis and decide for yourself. So far, I have not heard any meaningful or effective framework for ad acceptance aside from accept everything and let the viewer sort them out. A year ago, Twitch streamers were up in arms about doing ad reads for gambling websites. The popular logic was, even if they pay me $10 million, that money is funded by the losses of my viewers, meaning they lose collectively maybe $100 million. My counter-argument? Duh. You could say that about advertising an expensive brand of protein cereal. You could say it only pays $5,000 if your audience buys at least $10,000 worth of overpriced product. At the time of this recording, Pedro Pascal is starring in highly produced social media ads for a free mobile game that's presumably sucking millions of dollars worth of microtransactions out of the players. Otherwise, how could they pay for Pedro? I declined an ad deal for a sports betting app last month. I think gambling is a deadly addiction, and putting the ability to do it into your phone is a mistake. But I just bring up the example because it highlights how impossible it is to build a concrete set of immutable values that withstands every variable of what might be on offer. So even though I declined the gambling ad, I don't really see the argument against someone who might say, I just advertise it and encourage the viewer to be smart about it. Because realistically, that's exactly what I do when I advertise, say, a brand of medication that prevents male pattern baldness. Gambling will always exist. Anti-aging products will always exist. There are clearly stated risks and side effects, but I'm just reading an ad. So many of these direct-to-consumer brands are things that already exist, but prettier and more expensive. Sunday brand lawn care. Obviously, lawn care products already exist at Lowe's for a much lower price. Native deodorant, clean, natural deodorant already exists. So why the hell is this $13 per stick? That's the thing about influencer marketing. It's usually just regular stuff that's been marked up to account for the $1 million of ad spend. That's not to say their stuff isn't good. For example, I love Curology. I have no doubt that I could find a cheaper cleanser, moisturizer, and prescription ointment. But the whole point is that I don't know how to hunt any of that stuff down, so this brand makes it easier for me to have a legitimate skincare routine with zero expertise. Same for Visky. This brand sells glassware, and for all I know, it could be imported from Alibaba with a 10x markup. But they do all of the curation for me, so I can go on their website and shop for a couple dozen really great options instead of spending hours looking at several thousand so-so options. Whether it's my unpaid, unprompted praise for Metamucil or the brands that I just mentioned, there will always be a big-brained thinker who insists that everything is an ad. I understand their frustration. I used to love, for example, apartment therapy, but now every article on there is just an advertorial. I want to end all this by squashing two major trains of thought. One for the aspiring influencer and one for the viewers. For the former, do away with the half-joking trope of, I highly recommend X brand widgets. This isn't sponsored by them, but hey, X brand, if you're watching this, hit me up. Remember all the reasons why this isn't necessary. One, even if you deliberately say your personal endorsement wasn't given in exchange for payment, someone out there won't believe you. Two, that brand isn't gonna buy your cow ass after getting all that free milk. If they legitimately have earned your free endorsement, they've already earned some level of consumer recognition and thus don't have to buy it at the obscene rates that fledgling direct-to-consumer companies pay. And three, I finally did get an ad deal from a brand I already use in real life. They make an inexpensive bourbon that's perfect for using in baked goods and cooked foods. But when I snagged a dream ad deal, sharing a recipe I've already been making for years and an unbelievably bare bones requirement to read like 2 sentences of ad copy instead of a 60-second ad read, people got so upset by the whole thing. It was devastating. So in summary, it's an old joke that doesn't hit for viewers, doesn't work for advertisers, and the best possible outcome might actually be agonizing. To the viewer, don't decide to buy something when an influencer tells you to. That's easy to say, but impossible to actually do. We all trust the people who taught us valuable lessons about how to cook or how to react to recent industry developments, and it's easy to let those trusted figures act as a proxy for our decision-making. I bought this espresso maker because I had my eye on it and because the coffee influencer that I watched the most said the quality was acceptable for a novice espresso enjoyer who's going to dilute it with half a cup of steamed milk anyway, and that's me. But try as much as you can to remember that just because I like something doesn't mean you should buy it. It's easy to like something when it was attained for free, especially when the cost is the biggest flaw. Plus, I might like it precisely because I don't know anything about the alternatives. I can't really get too mad about a reaction guy or a food tuber running ads for Masterworks because most people aren't finance experts, but I actually do know a good amount about personal finance, so I know it's a disgusting product built on horribly deceptive marketing tactics. At the same time, I would probably accept an ad deal for Honey, the browser plugin that finds you coupon codes while shopping. But I wouldn't be surprised or floored if some online security expert later told me that the app steals some important data and uses it to enact some incredibly evil plan. I never know if the free business newsletter that I advertise today might pivot to dangerous propaganda machine tomorrow. I might run an ad for a free app that saves you $1 off every gallon of gas, and then a year later they might change their discounts to be so meaningless that it's no longer worth using. At the very least, read a Reddit discussion or two on a product that you saw advertised via social media before busting out the credit card. I know that reading Reddit posts discussing the merit of products is a form of torture unto itself, but I suspect it's a torture less severe than feeling cheated out of your money. Thanks for your time. I wish you infinite wealth and peace. Bye-bye.